Welcome back to the second video of how to service a Deep6 regulator. In the first video, I went over the first stage, disassembly, cleaning, and then reassembly and inline adjustments. So I'm not going to go through cleaning in this video just because it would be the exact same process. So if you want to see that, have a look at the first video. It's on the same channel. So just before starting to service the second stage, the tools that we're going to use are much the same, so nothing new there. But something I'm quickly going to mention is the adjustment screw in the second stage. So if your regs are shiny and new, they might have the Deep6 logo in here with like a blocking thing. Mine fell out. I don't know if everyone else's is similar with Deep6 in general with this. I love these regs, they're brilliant, and don't worry about it. It's just for aesthetics reasons. It's not doing anything, it's not got a job as such. However, you might have a lot of salt and gunk build up in here where like I can't turn this anymore, so this has become frozen. So just bear that in mind. You might want to actually soak this while it's pressurized in hot soapy water as well to try and loosen that up and get some of that gunk out before starting this, okay? Just as a heads up. All right, so if you've still got it attached to your cylinder, make sure you depressurize. And first step is just removing it from the hose. I also have these like 120-degree swivel turrets here, which I'm also going to be taking out and servicing. So starting off, I will be doing that. All right, so just your usual spanner. Pop that down, and then this side as well. All right, so this is quite heavily corroded, I'd say, on this one, more so than the first stage when we're taking things off. So inside my little turret, there'll be a little O-ring in here. I'm gonna put, because this is just a metal joint, I'll take off the snap bolt retainer. And I will be putting this in the ultrasonic cleaner itself. So just inside there, you've got that little O-ring. So just remove that before you put that in an ultrasonic cleaner. I'm going to leave all the parts to the side, same way that we did with the first stage. All right, also while servicing this, I'm going to leave the mouthpiece on. If you want to inspect your mouthpiece or pull this off to clean underneath it, obviously feel free. I really like my mouthpieces and they're in good nick as they are, so I'm not going to be removing them to clean them. So I'm going to open up the main body. And if you have kind of recently soaked it, don't worry if it's a little bit damp in here, pop that to the side. You are left with your diaphragm, so just gently pop that out. And then you are left with, you can see your Venturi. Okay. So we are going to be removing this bolt first. Okay, so we can get the Venturi and this whole system out of the main body of the regulator. So just unscrewing this one. Okay, that one's come off. Pop that to the side. And next we want to take out the Venturi system and the air barrel from the reg. So we're going to go that way. There's an O-ring in here, so if that comes out, don't worry, but just pop the Venturi down, pull, and just keep going. Cool, okay. Pop this down a second. So you've got the O-ring in the main body there. So that can just come out, you can even do it with your finger. You've got your exhaust valve here, which isn't part of the service kit, but you might want to clean. So it's hard to get to with this cover still on. This cover comes off just underneath the right side. If you look, there's a little button just here. I don't use my brass pick section for this just because it might bend it or break it. Just use like the plastic bit on the end and just trying to press that button to slowly pop that up. All right. There you go, I'm getting that out. So now when you've got access to this, you can kind of pull that back a little bit and clean underneath there when you're cleaning later. But I'm not gonna chop this off and take it out because that's not a replaceable part in the service kit. So that's the main body already taken apart. Okay, just all the sections over there. And now we've just left with the air barrel. So we are gonna pop this down and slide the plastic section down over it, okay? And then again, you've got an O-ring here. And you just slide that off. So with the air barrel, I mentioned the corrosion inside this section with the adjustment knob, because we need to get this off now. And the issue is that's quite heavily corroded and I can't for the life of me twist that with the size of this and holding on to it. And we want to be careful not to damage the Venturi when we do this. So a couple of options. We can soak it and continue that kind of method, but I'm going to show you a method that I found a fair amount of success with. You just need 2 adjustable spanners and just be careful when you do this because we really don't want to cause any damage. So I'm putting a big spanner here and tightening on to that kind of square bolt pattern section here. So you see this shaft bit, not on the Venturi. So I'm holding on to that and using that as a little bit of leverage. And I know this probably isn't the best thing. And then with this spanner, I am gonna use it as if this is some kind of bolt, okay? And just remember to be careful in using this technique because you don't want to cause any damage to this bolt or shear it in any way, shape or form. So if it's not going, it's because you're pushing against that. So remember, we're going to turn this adjustment screw to the right, clockwise actually. So you're kind of pushing it in further to allow this bolt to come out. Just again, the corrosion might be a bit tough on the screws. So don't push past the pressure of the pin, but just wiggle it enough to open up. So once you've wiggled it enough for the pin to come out of the hole, hopefully freely if the corrosion isn't that bad. If it is, then maybe you might need to assist it and pull it out. But basically you are loosening this. Don't just keep going and keep going when the pin is still in. You are just getting past that corrosion to start, loosening it, hoping that the pin drops out itself, and then you'll keep going and you should see the hole through here. You should hopefully see like the tissue through the hole. Okay, so anyway, I'm going to continue with taking off the adjustment. And eventually it will kind of stop threading and you can just pull. So you can see that this was pretty badly corroded, and that's where that small hole is, where if you have what's in here, you just poke on that for it to come out. But like I say, it does come out quite regularly in these kind of regs. So just make sure that you are cleaning that area regularly after dives, washing in here if you're like me and don't have that the little logo on here section. Okay, so just one O-ring here, which we will get out there while we've got it. Okay, and pop that to one side as well. So now you'll see the Venturi's gone loose, nothing holding it up anymore. So we want to take this off carefully. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of, you see it's in these 2 little gaps here and here. So I'm just going to take it a little bit out there. And then you'll see this pops through. Okay, I've only got it out of one side now, mind you though, so I'm going to put this down, that's our low pressure seat, and then just pulling out the other side. All right, so that's come off quite nice and easily. That's looking good. I'll pop that to the side. On the air barrel itself, I'll pop that down so you can see the low pressure seat. So low pressure seat is here, and the spring. So in terms of taking this apart, just gently take off the top, put that to the side. You got your spring. You have two teeny tiny little O-rings there. Just be careful with that because this whole part is plastic, so just be careful with taking them off. I'll just get that done now quickly. I'll take the bottom one off first so it doesn't get caught in the next hole, and then the top one. Okay. And then I'll also take out that low pressure seat. This is the replaceable part from the service kit. Just careful not to scratch the barrel, the plastic bit. Okay, pop those to the side. And just two more things on here. So there's an O-ring just here, which I'll get now. And then inside here, we have our adjustment tool. Okay, so I will go through here with a, what mil? With a 5mm hex key. At some point, you'll feel the tension go and you will actually need to push it out from the other side. So we'll just keep going until it's not turning anymore. Yeah, I think that's about through. It can be a bit annoying finding something long enough, so I'm just going to use a screwdriver for now to push through, make sure it's in between there, and just pull down. There you go. So it's just held in by that little O-ring there. All right, so I'm just going to take off that O-ring as well. Okay, and you're left with that. So that's your adjustment tool for the low pressure seat. So similar to the adjustment bolt that you have for the high pressure seat in the first stage. Okay, so we're left with all our things. Let me just organize this in terms of what's metal to clean and what's plastic to clean, because the majority of the second stage is going to be plastic. So in terms of what I'm going to put in the ultrasonic cleaner, I'm going to need a lot of ultrasonic cleaning on this one, just from where there's quite a lot of gunk and build up in there. So the air barrel itself, pin, adjustment, this adjustment tool bolt as well, this, and the Venturi itself. The rest of it, the big kind of bulky parts of the body, are all plastic, so I'm just gonna bath them and rinse them as you usually would. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean it, and then I'll be back through the second half of the video. So remember, when it comes to cleaning and how to ultrasonic clean, if you haven't seen that yet with this, go back and watch my first stage video where it shows the ultrasonic cleaning there. Alright, so once all the parts have been cleaned and you're happy with that, I've laid out the service kit section here, ready to start assembling this all together. I'm going to go through the air barrel and the low pressure seat sections first, and the main body can come in a bit later. So first of all, in the service kit, you get a new diaphragm and a new low pressure seat. You can see with the old one that there'll be like an indentation from where it's been sat. So I'll pop the old ones to the side for now, and I'll put those things in a bag, like ready to use again in an emergency if I need to, but hopefully all good. All right, so first things first, this is where the kind of piston inside is going to sit here. So with lubrication on the second stage, just lightly lubricating O-rings is more than enough that we need for this. So take our O-ring, and pop that on the end here. I'm going to put this inside the threaded section of the air barrel. Okay, so pop that in. You will need to pop it in just like we did when we had to pop it out. We'll push it down and then just start turning until you can feel some pressure there. Now the instruction manual for this says to turn it all the way in until it bottoms out. And then turn back by 3 full turns. So 1, 2, and 3. All right. Okay, so that's in position, all good to go. We're now going to look at assembling this section. So firstly, the 2 teeny tiny O-rings here, I will lubricate those first. And these are super fiddly, just because they're so tiny. And place that over. The first one, you've probably got enough lubricant just in your fingers there to do the second one as well. And this is a little bit tricky to roll over the other one, so just delicately try and kind of flip it over. All right, next we are going to put the spring over the top. Just watch out for any kind of pickup of debris with the lubricant. So maybe just give that a little rub down on the shaft there. Spring goes on top. Piston head will go on. Just make sure that can depress. Okay, and we're going to take our new low pressure seat. So the blue little button, and just pop that on and pop that in here. And again, it should be able to depress freely. All right, when we put this inside the air barrel, it might be helpful to just see how this sits. So the 2 kind of little lever sections which will sit inside here should meet this like this. So when you're putting it in here, just make sure that when you're attaching the Venturi, you're just careful with not kind of scratching up all this plastic area here. Okay, and just before putting this into the air barrel, we also want to put this O-ring back on. So just the same routine, a little bit of lubrication on the O-ring. And gliding that into place. Okay, so I'm gonna put this inside of the air barrel now. You need to make sure that the pins, if you can see where the pin goes, let me just see. You can see the hole, so you can see the tissue through the hole. You want to make sure that that hole is on top when we put the Venturi on. Okay, so this is going to go in, and you'll be able to see this through the hole here. You see the low pressure seat starting to come through. Keep going until you see it in where the Venturi arms are going to sit, and about that point it will be safe to put the Venturi on without scratching things up. So this is just going to sit here. Okay, hard to do at this angle, so I'm just going to move you up a bit as we put this on. And just be careful with this. There is a zip tie in the service kit, in which, going through the manual, it explains how to use a zip tie to kind of lift up the little feet on this to go in. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go for it, but just delicately do that. And now if we do this and tip it, the piston inside shouldn't be falling out because the legs of the Venturi are keeping it in place. Okay, so next we take our adjustment knob and we are going to put our, I think, 11 O-ring on this section here. So again, same with a little bit of lubricant, not loads in the second stage. Just fold it over. Okay, and we'll pop this in. You'll feel like it pushing past the O-ring. All right, and then screwing tight. Now let me just move the camera angle for this one, because this is where, like, I think the confusion comes with the first stage sometimes. So as you're twisting it closed, you'll see that hole. So that is where the pin is going to go. You'll feel the pressure coming onto the Venturi, so it might start to stand up as we come against the spring. There you go. All right, so we now got that pressure in there. And you can see already that the pin hole is gone. So let me undo again. Okay, so there's the pin hole, where the pin section is going. Let me just get the pin again so you can see that. So this pin is going to go through there. All right, but it's a very specific part where we'll continue to screw, and that hole will become visible again when it's not visible right now. So it's hard to do this with a camera, but so I push through. Okay, and now the O-ring is on that section. I'm going to do this up, and you keep going until you can see through that hole again. So then with the pin, that will go in the hole. Sorry, it's still quite hard to see where it is. There, okay? So you'll put the pin in here, and just make sure it is even, so it's not protruding more from one side than the other. And then you will loosen this so that it stays in place. Something like that. Yeah, so it's not protruding too much on one side or the other, and it's staying in place from where you've loosened this, and the pressure's keeping that there. Okay? Okay, so next is this section. This is gonna slide up and live on here. So just take the O-ring that fits it first, tiny bit of lubricant, slide that on. Okay, so you'll need to depress the Venturi and just shift this over. And slide it over that next O-ring in position like that. Okay, I'd keep it just level with this for now, so it's just, so this can still be moved freely. And then we can put that into the main body of the regulator. So this lever will fit into that gap. So we're going to be going in, I'll do this this way around for you so you kind of see how this works. So keep the Venturi central. Let me just move this up a bit. So yeah, keeping the Venturi central, Just pop this through like so, okay. And into place. You'll notice, if I pop it the other way around now, you'll notice that there's a bit of an area for the prongs to kind of sit on. And just double check that when this depresses, it's not going to be in the way of anything. Okay? But that's pretty much it back in the body, and like the hard stuff is done. There's an O-ring that goes on here. Just make sure that is all the way inserted. Pop that down. I'm going to use my blunt brass pick just to get that into the main body. Okay. And then we will put this section back over here and thread it down. And I am, just before putting that down, I'm going to just lightly lubricate the threads of the barrel. Okay, and just screw that on. And make sure it sits in place, fully locking that in. Kind of push against the body a bit, just make sure that that's not going anywhere. Okay. And then I'm just going to tighten that up a little bit. Okay, so with that done, we are in a position where we can, without putting the diaphragm on and without putting the cover on or the diaphragm on, that we could put this onto a tank already and start adjusting from there. So just to say, I don't have an inline adjustment tool for my second stage, but this is our adjustment orifice for the second stage. So all you need for this one is that 5mm hex key, and we'll be doing this up or loosening this depending on what we get. Okay. While doing this, it's probably also worth noting that I've changed the O-ring on the hose. You may also remember I was cleaning this, so there's no O-ring currently in here. So rather than using this on here yet, I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to connect up this part of the hose. Okay, ready to go. So I've connected it to the cylinder. I've got this in the open and open position. And I'm just going to slowly turn on the cylinder. So what's probably going to happen as we just put this on is that we're probably just going to have air coming straight through it. Okay, so I'm going to slowly turn this on. Yeah, so that means that we need to adjust it. So I've not done this on very tight for now, just as we know we're going to be doing adjusting a lot. I'll take my 5mm hex key and I'm going to tighten, let's say, a quarter of a turn. And then we do the same again. So just finger tighten this for now. Slowly open the cylinder. And yeah, we've still got air coming. So same again. So this is what an inline adjustment tool would save you the time in doing. Another quarter turn is getting to that point a lot quicker and a lot smoother. But as you can see, it's just, it's just a little bit more effort for the sake of the expense of the tool. All right, slowly open the cylinder. Same again. Okay, so this time it's not hissing, it's not free flowing. Let's just check our intermediate pressure. Yep, that's there. My SPG is on. So basically what we want to achieve is a situation in which it's just above where it would free flow. So I'm gonna turn off the cylinder. Pressurize, open here. And now I'm going to loosen little bit by little bit until it kind of hisses at me, okay? Okay. So we've reached kind of a sweetish spot where if I tighten it a tiny bit, it will get rid of that hiss. And if I loosen it, it will make it hiss. And this is where, I mean, you can kind of control how easy or hard you want your inhalations to be. So I actually like mine to be a bit tougher than what the second stages of Deep6 are kind of giving. I'm not necessarily saying that's correct, but just to let you know, like if you do tighten it a little bit much, then that's okay. It will just make it a bit more challenging to inhale. Okay, so we do also have magnahelic pressure to check. I'm not going to do that here because again, I don't have those kind of expensive tools, but this is my kind of third time servicing the second stage now, and I've not had an issue so far over the last like 3 years with these regs of anything going wrong for making it a little bit of a bigger working pressure. All right, so I've just tightened it a little bit. I'm going to open it up. Okay, and really listen out for if there's any hisses when you've got this. Give it a purge. No hisses there. So I'm going to loosen it a tiny bit again. Okay, there's the sweet spot. I don't know if you can hear that very well. I'll shut up a minute. So it's a very gentle hiss. So from here, tiny little bit tighter and you are golden. Okay, turning it on. And no hiss, okay? Purge it a little bit. Just check if it hisses from that. Okay, so I'm now going to put the diaphragm on and the cover back on and this section back on. I'll take it off to do that just so I can make it a bit of an easier thing to see. And then we'll do this again just to double check that nothing's changed. Okay, so I'm going to do the exhaust cover first. Now I've moved this around quite a bit at this stage, so I'm just going to make sure that this is all good and all clean. Nothing's gone under there while I've been kind of moving the body around. Looks good to me. So this will go on this way around. Just pop the little part underneath here first and kind of depress the button that we did to come up, and then just snap it into place. Job done there. And with the diaphragm, so here's the new one. Okay, again, just make sure that that is good and clean, and we're not all starting off by putting rubbish into it. Okay. You might notice the number on your new diaphragm is different to the old one. That's all okay. Now, pop this on top of the Venturi. Okay, and just make sure you are under the threads. And then I've seen some people in their service kits not have these. This is just to keep the diaphragm in place, so just pop that over the top. Okay. And then I'm going to pop on the face cover as well. So with this, if you start by turning the wrong way, so anti-clockwise, you should hear a little click. Like that. And then when you thread it through, you should be ended up with that Deep6 logo being perfectly straight on. Okay, just in case that annoys you. It does me a little bit actually. All right, and now I'm gonna put it back onto the cylinder and just again, breathe from it and just check that it's doing what we want it to do. Okay, so just back on the cylinder, turn on the tank. Okay, just checking intermittent period pressure. It's still 135-ish, which it is. Just this is the one that I serviced this like 2 days ago from that other video. And from turning this on, now with the faceplate on, like if you listen to it, there's a slight leak there. Okay. So I will tighten it again a little bit. So purge, reg off, teeny tiny tighten this time. Okay. Back on, tank on, have a listen, have a breathe. Try it with a tighter as well, so do it back up. And that feels and breathes pretty good to me. I'm going to put on that 120 degree turret here, and then do it a tiny bit more than finger tight. It's also worth saying I've also serviced the O-rings inside the SPG and on my hoses and things like that. Don't necessarily have to do that, but just while doing a service, I like to make sure that all those things are done as well, and I can make sure it's reliable for the next longer, deeper kind of trimix dive. And what I would say as well is it's worth, if you can and have access to a pool, get in a pool and just bubble check this stuff first. before taking it on, especially a deeper dive. I would make sure your first dive is a nice shallow dive. One of the nice things about doing this with side mount tanks is that if there is an issue and anything has gone wrong with any, that you've got the other cylinder with you. So I usually would do full service on my first stage and second stage on one side, take it to the pool, do a bubble check, and then go for a dive. And then if that's all good, then I would do the other side. All right. I'll put a bubble check video in here just to show you what I do. It's just taking it into a pool and just seeing where any bubbles might be coming from. So that bubble check was filmed before I'd serviced this side of the regulator. It was when I'd done the left-hand side of my side mount setup. And as you could see, the only bubbles coming out were from here, from the SPG. So I've replaced those O-rings. And yeah, that's usually what you'd have to do if there's any bubbles coming from anywhere, is it's probably going to be O-rings. If you do have any bubbles coming from areas like here or here, it might just be a matter of tightening this up slightly. All right, like maybe you need to put the pin spanner in here and just tighten it up a bit more. Okay, so bear that in mind. Always good to do a bubble check. Just make sure that everything is working as it should, ready for your next dive. So I hope that this helped, and all the best, guys. Thanks, bye.